Federal agencies are on a constant modernization journey. Working with integrators experienced in delivering managed service programs can help agencies make headway with their most pressing IT infrastructure, application, and security needs. I'm Wyatt Cash with Scoop News Group, and here to talk about that today is Seth Abrams, Vice President, Chief Technology Officer for Homeland Security Solutions at Leidos. Seth, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Wyatt.
I'd like to start by asking, how can switching to an as-a-service model for enterprise IT or platform service delivery or a security operations center present a faster or more effective way of delivering an agency's mission?
Yeah, and as-a-service models are a great idea for most agencies, right? You get faster delivery times, more consistent outcomes, lower cost, and additional efficiencies over time. In short, the agency should be focused on the mission, right? If there's anything that's not mission focused, we should be talking about moving to an as-a-service model. The need for innovation is always important and core to what we do at Leidos. Every agency's journey, timeline, and budget is different. So make sure you choose a trusted partner to help provide a successful environment. But you also have to watch out for the generic approach. Some managed services will bundle and create an as a service that is more costly and not as flexible. And then you'll be finding yourself moving providers sooner than you planned.
And then where do you see a managed services model having the most significant effect on agency and employee productivity?
Yeah, well, there's two areas, right? And I think we've all seen the cloud, right? The cloud had a major shift when it came to the responsibilities of the government IT departments. The government needed to be able to pivot in their operation to allow for outside management control of the services they were consuming. They used to be in charge of everything, right? In an organization that was built without that concept in mind, they needed to pivot, right? So this new organizational structure is needed to make sure that they understand that they are going to be giving away some of that management. One example of deploying new infrastructure, right? It used to take months, but with cloud, it can be ready with a push of a button. So that transition occurred in most agencies, right? But it required them to re-examine their workflow to take advantage of an as-a-service model. They used to do change requests that would take months, right? And so now they had to change so that change requests could be either routine or scripted, and so that they can actually get the benefit of the as-a-service model. But the other area is, and that's continuing to mature, is that security as a service model. This is something that should be looked at the same way that platform as a service and cloud was looked at. Within SOC as a service, the agency should expect to have catalog items like cloud. Just like you order a server, you can now order endpoints for that server. The agencies are all different, right? And when it comes to the security services that are covering each of their environments, they need to be aligned with what their mission is. It's not a one size fits all.
And next, where do you see managed service models having the most significant effect on agency and employee productivity?
Yeah, I see it in two main areas, cloud and security. Cloud had a major shift in responsibility of the IT government agencies. They had a pivot, right? They used to be internally managed and everything was their responsibility. And then they had to pivot to an outside management of the services that they were consuming. In an organization that was built without that concept in mind, they needed to pivot to a new organizational structure. One example is deploying new infrastructure. This used to take months of effort, but with cloud, those services are ready with the push of a button. So the transition that occurred in most agencies, they needed to re-examine their workflow to take advantage of the as-a-service model. Agencies needed to adjust what needed a change request versus a routine deployment. In terms of productivity, the as-a-service model can have huge benefits to an organizational through repeatable processes, consistent deployments, and rapid changes to the environment. The other area is security, and that continues to mature in the government space. This is something that should be looked at as the same way as platform as a service, because it can change the focus of the mission. Within security as a service, you're not outsourcing your security. What you're outsourcing is the processes and tools that the agency used to be responsible for. For example, maintaining a full security stack of applications in a single organization is expensive, but spreading that cost between multiple agencies is not. So also having more services than you need is raises your cost without any benefit. There's huge cost swings that can happen when adjusting security services. You need to be educated on what a SOC service provides, because small changes can impact your agency's security posture. A flexible model keeps the government in control, and one that can be adjusted. So, if you have a different application, a different threat, or even a data with different security levels, your service provider should be able to adjust for those and provide you with a custom experience that fits your needs.
And then what across the federal IT landscape stands out to you as having the most significant potential or need for modernization in the coming years, where having an as-a-service model would really help?
Yeah, well, there's always pressure for faster, better, cheaper, right? But we also have to make sure that we maintain quality and security in the process. The best way to look at the as-a-service model is to understand your mission objectives and what's required to achieve those. And everything else can be as a service. For example, if your agency needs to provide a pathway to citizenship, your focus should be on buying, focus shouldn't be on buying or maintaining servers. It should be on optimizing workflows, speeding automation, and then improving the user experience. So moving to cloud and platform makes a lot of sense. Now, you also have to keep in mind that an as a service opens your organization's attack surface up. But with proper planning and adoption of zero trust principles, the groundwork can be laid to allow you to maintain your security posture within an as a service model. Another challenge facing the government agency is funding. Commercial providers have very flexible models that the government isn't built to take advantage of. Look at a simple example of adding or subtracting a security service. For a commercial provider, talking to a commercial company, they can just turn that on and turn that off. For the government, they have bigger challenges in terms of their funding streams and what they've allocated. And so working with your service provider to come up with a common understanding is really important before even going into the agreement.
Well, that leads me to my last question here, which is, how can partnerships like working with Leidos help agencies really accelerate modernization? And also, what qualifications should leaders consider when working with industry partners now? Because there's certainly a lot out there.
Yeah, at Leidos, we've established managed services. We've built as a service models for our customers. We can work with you to create a new offering, but we can also help you do the research to buying an existing managed service that the government already has. So we work with agencies both as the provider and the consumer. And so we have a lot of experience on both sides of the equation. In fact, part of our security services here at Leidos, we've achieved the highest level of accreditation for a SOC service that's maintained by the DoD in terms of a CSP, right, which is a cloud service provider. But more specifically, if you're watching this, right, that means you're interested in either buying or building an as-a-service model. So I would tell you to understand the catalog of services, right? That's very important. Each catalog item is important to understand the unit of measure, right? Is it a month or is it a year, right? What are you buying? The terms and conditions of the service. Is there something that you can stop doing or start doing at any time? The SLAs around it. What can you expect from the service when you do buy it? And kind of uptimes and level of detail. The other one that I don't think a lot of people really look at is the operational level agreement, right? The OLA. And what that is that's how your services are going to interact with other services. For instance, if you have a ticketing system and you're buying security as a service, you want to make sure your ticketing system and your security as a service interact with each other so that when something happens, it creates a ticket and everybody knows about it.
Well, that's a great checklist, and I thank you for listing those out for us. Seth Abrams, thank you so much for joining us here and sharing some of your insights about really how agencies can take better advantage of as-a-service models to accelerate their modernization.
That was great. Thank you.